Now I'm testing it. I need to. Okay.
On your left, Weehawken, New Jersey. If you look above the treetops, there is only one red brick building that has a flag on the left corner of it, and a pointed steeple on the right. And just below the treetops, below that building, there's a dip there where Alexander Hamilton fought the faithful duel there in Ur, July 1984. Cost Hamilton's life for his political career. To your right, Pier 86, 46th Street, the West Side Highway, the USS Intrepid. Last carrier built by the United States to re-enter World War II, considered the most heavily damaged ship of any kind that survives the war today. But on to serve in the Korean War, the Vietnam War, recovered Mercury and Gemini astronauts, the centerpiece of a floating sea, air, and space museum, under the big pointed tent, the Space Shuttle Prototype Enterprise. If you look above the ship at the end of the pier, there's a rusty steel sculpture above the yellow or the orange zodiac. And that's World Trade Center steel. If you walk to this end of Pier 86 for free, you can create the silhouette of the Twin Towers for your skyline photo. It's actual World Trade Center steel. That vessel is the Nancy Foster, and you see who operates it, NOAA, National Oceanic Atmospheric Association. The Concorde is one of 8 in the world you can walk through. And if you look over your right shoulder near the highway, the submarine, the USS Growler, the cell phone in your purse or pocket has more sophisticated electronic capabilities than all the equipment on board the submarine that in the 50s and 60s carried nuclear missiles. All of this is at the Intrepid. Aida's Luna is behind us at Pier 88. If you look over your right shoulder, Pier 90 is white. Pier 92 is brown and gray. So draw a line left of the unrestored pier into the middle of the river. On your right is the spot where Captain Chesley Sullenberger and co-pilot Jess Skiles landed the jet plane. Hudson Runway 1 is now on your right, strictly for emergency landings. No departures, please. Downstairs, outside decks open for standing. Passengers who wish to stand may move to the downstairs outside decks. On your left and right, both sides of the river, there is a brown brick tower with green louvers on either side at the shore. These are the air vents for the Batcave. No, it's the Lincoln Tunnel. There was a drawing of cars coming out of the proposed Lincoln Tunnel that inspired the Batcave. And if you look to your right, the top right corner of the Lincoln Tunnel vent, the long cream-colored building inspired the drawings for Wayne Manor. The Batman comic franchise turned 76 this year. The Lincoln Tunnel, the world's busiest, if you count both-way traffic, more than 80,000 vehicles cross daily. Every workday, 1.2 million vehicles enter Manhattan and try to park in half as many parking spaces. Actual numbers. Pier 76 to your left, Great Pier, one half open door, is where all illegally parked vehicles in Midtown are towed. Your towing fee is $285 plus the fine and the ticket. The experience, priceless. Behind it, black and gray glass, 4 blocks long. Jacob Javits Convention Center is too small. Las Vegas has a convention center 3 times bigger. So to compete, the Ark will build a convention center 3 times the one in Vegas, near the airports in Queens. Stay tuned. On your left, at the treetop level, the High Line, an abandoned elevated freight railroad, a mile and a half long, has been converted to a world-famous strolling park. From 33rd Street past 14th Street down to Gansevoort Street in the village. 30 feet in the air, stroll behind. To your right is Lincoln Harbor Marina. See the pleasure boats on your right. On the morning of September 11th, as mentioned, I had the day off 14 years ago. But my co-workers at Circle Line evacuated more than 40,000 people from Lower Manhattan to here. Under 6 hours. August 14th, 2003, the Northeast blackout. I had the day off. Circle Line evacuated more than 8,000 here. Mid-January, now going on 7 years ago, Sully and Skiles landed the jet plane in the river. I had the day off. There's an emergency, don't worry, the crew knows how to handle it. There's Empire on your left, the only building that looks like a rocket ship will launch off the top, now above the building with the 6 water tents. 34th Street, 5th Avenue. If you're adventurous, come back in February. We hold a race up its steps. But for the rest of us, the observation decks open at 8 in the morning and they stay open until 2 the next morning. All birds, you know who you are. 34th Street, 5th Avenue. Your left is Chelsea. It was once an independent town. Today a neighborhood. From its beginnings, creative. Dylan Thomas, Thomas Wolfe, Mark Twain, Arthur Miller, Edna St. Vincent Millay, and Sid Vicious created here. Chelsea today is known for recreation on the shore, red, white, and blue to your left. The Chelsea Sports Entertainment Piers. Available in season kayaking and boxing lessons, an indoor ice skating rink, or an indoor rollerblade skateboarding rink. Catered dining hall where celebrities, magazines, and studios host parties. The largest indoor rock climbing wall in the state. A gymnastics gym, a health spa, bowling alleys, batting cages, and crime. On your left, a 4-level golf driving range cage featured in the film Serendipity. Behind it for 2+ decades, the various Law and Order TV shows have had their interior sets. The last of them, SVU, coming back season 17, Virginia Madsen joining the cast, according to today's paper. The original may be back season after next. Stay tuned. Below 23rd Street, above 16th Street, Chelsea Piers. To your right, flag at half staff at the Stevens Institute on top of this hill, their main tower, the centerpiece of their campus. Colonel John Stevens served as General Washington's treasurer, later in life built the first ocean-going steam vessel. If you rode the PATH or subway, the electric third rail was invented by John Stevens. Any U.S. Navy ship in service today had its hull design tested. You should test that. On your left, the red crane, and to the left of the red crane, the remains of Pier 54, where the Lusitania left from. North of that, the pilings of the water mark Pier 56, where the Titanic was supposed to dock. Noticing a trend? I had the day off. The 343, the fireboat to your left, is named for the number of firefighters we lost 14 years ago. It can pump 60,000 gallons of water a minute. It is state-of-the-art. Also state-of-the-art on your left, above the green and blue piers. The new Whitney Museum of Art opened in May. Slanted glass. New Whitney Museum. We've gone from Chelsea into Greenwich Village, both made so attractive by creative people they can no longer afford to live and work here. On your right is your new creative capital. USA Today calls Jersey City the best planned urban community in the U.S. Growing up, getting taller, going upscale, you see the W Hotel. You can still find sights from the film On the Waterfront, which was shot here in '53. Oscar's Best Picture, '54, but how Hoboken has changed so rapidly in 6 decades. Who put Hoboken on the map? The chairman of the board, sticking out on the right, the pier with the trees, the copper gazebo, Francis Albert Sinatra Park. Frank Sinatra and baseball, born in Hoboken.
Start
The
spreading
end of town is
the
marked by the
news.
Erie Lackawanna Terminal, which still functions for light rail and ferry commuters. It takes about 2 to 4 decades for the brown copper to turn light green as it starts to react with the salt in the water and air around us. Once you get past the last ferry to your right, you're into Jersey City. To your left, 3 glass towers on the shoreline, designed by architect Richard Meyer, Hugh Jackman, Calvin Klein, the Olsen twins, Nicole Kidman, and husband Keith Urban. Among the celebs who live in those 3 glass towers are used to. You master Midtown. North of 14th Street, avenues go north and south, and the cross streets go east and west off 5th Avenue. It's a logical grid, improving the flow of light and traffic, air. But if you're at Pier 40 on your left, when Neil Diamond wrote and sang Coming to America, he was writing of his grandmother's experiences, her ship landing here. Today, a parking lot, trapeze, and ball fields. What's 40 minus 40? Houston Street. A wedding gift for William John Houston, signer of the Declaration of Independence. South of 14th Street, streets go around obstacles that no longer exist. The streets are named, not numbered. They are not alphabetic or numeric. It is harder to learn. Take in Lower Manhattan, take a math. I do. We'll take a break here, pick it up at the World Trade Center site. Once again, if you have questions, or even if you don't, my name is Dave. On your left, the tallest structure in the Western Hemisphere, the new One World Trade Center. From the ground to the tip of the sculpted aluminum frame, 1776 feet tall. It's also only a 90-story office tower, standing atop a 14-story pedestal with an antenna 404 feet tall. You take away the spire, that's the approximate height of the Twin Towers. To the right of this, the sky respectfully empty where they stood. At Gettysburg, Lincoln, our President Lincoln, made a famous speech, basically concluding with the idea we can't consecrate this ground any more than it already has been. And that's the way we feel about this. So, the foundation of the tower is the Waterfalls Memorial. If you look just below the blue netting, there's a little green copper chimney, a pair of them actually. If you look carefully, the streaks are from the flaming jet fuel. It's a scar that won't heal. It's difficult to talk about all these years later. It will always be. Fox News has announced they're building a new building down in this property. For all the new buildings we have built, they are still about half leased only. Many memories, perhaps. Bad economic times, perhaps. Why build a new building if you can't fill new buildings you've just built with tenants? And your reason is to your right. Tallest building in New Jersey, and it was built for Goldman Sachs Financial Services. If the roof is in your way, you look on the right for the Colgate clock. The clock is just above the river, and to the right of the clock, the first big glass tower is Goldman Sachs. Well, don't you see an abandoned toothpaste factory in New Jersey is a cheaper site to develop than any property in New York? The tax rate is cheaper. The vacant space you can custom build. With New York, Manhattan Island, and the financial district a small part of the island. Your space is limited, expensive. Where is your incentive to stay? Industries left both cities. In this century, Jersey City and New York City now compete over the same corporate clients, the tax revenues at stake. Each city's fiscal future on the line. It's going to cost more than $18 billion to build buildings at the Trade Center. It will cost New York more in the long run if we only built a 16-acre memorial. It does not make it easier, but it does explain why we're building here. To your right, the red brick building with the clock, the old New Jersey Central Railroad and Ferry Terminal. In the peak years of immigration, 1909 to 1913, over 300 trains left daily. One train leaving every 4 minutes. 150 ferry boats a day. That averaged a ferry departing every 8 minutes, a train every 4. Pretend you're new to the country, you don't speak English, find your way to the right one. The New York office over your left shoulder for the ferries, Battery Park, Bowling Green. Behind the tent, the red brick fort, Castle Clinton or Castle Gardens, was our first immigration center. Between 1846 and 1892, 8 million future Americans squeezed through. Above the fort, above the treetops, long gray building, pink shingle screen trim, the Museum of the American Indian. Natives honored free admission at the Alexander Hamilton Customs House. Broadway behind that, sure walk up Broadway and Twain Street, the African slave burial grounds. Slaves built New Amsterdam, the Dutch colony that became New York City. The point is that any ethnic group in the Western Hemisphere, for the world's major religions, found a monument of connection in or walking distance near you. Get out of Midtown, come downtown, explore the city's roots in the southern tip of Manhattan. Discover your own. Branches. To the right, Ellis Island. London-born butcher Samuel Ellis came to the city. Life good, business better, daughter married a British officer. Samuel Ellis bought his family a 3-acre picnic island. In 1775, then the war within the year options back family or colonies' efforts for independence. Sympathetic to the independence. But how do you war against a son-in-law breaking your daughter's heart? Threw in with family. After the war, not popular, goes back to England. His granddaughter sold the island to the new U.S. government. You ever wonder what we did with dirt digging out subways? Ellis Island is more than 9 times bigger today. We see version 3, built to handle up to 5,000 a day when opened in 1903. But like the internet, things got faster. And by 1909, more than 10,000 a day came through daily. Your ship might wait 3 days for your turn. Would you pass? Would your babies, elderly relatives? More than 98% got in. Less than 2% would be sent back. The harsh reality, a family could be split forever here. Since 1986, it's been the Museum of American Immigration. They're undergoing a $39 million upgrade. If you've been, go back. The Golden Door, the Island of Tears, Ellis Island. A torch is a symbol of wisdom or enlightenment. This torch is pictured twice on the United States $10 bill if you look carefully. Reach into your pocket and pull out 2 pennies. You take 2 pennies, you put them together. That's how thick the copper is on the statue, 2 pennies thick. Today's penny is more than 98% zinc, so you'd need more than 32 million pennies to have enough copper. More than $64 million to make a duplicate. If you're smart enough to bring a torch, you won't stumble in the dark. The proper title of the sculpture is Liberty Enlightening the World. The world has 7 continents or seas. The crown's halo 7 points. Want to enlighten the world about democracy? Is she dressed in Athenian Grecian robes, Athens, democracy's birthplace? Or a Roman garment, doulas given Roman slaves set free? Scholars debate. There's no debate for me. Like Heinz ketchup downstairs, like the statue steel beams, I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the Keystone State. The steel beams were donated by the Scottish immigrant Andrew Carnegie. Look at her left hand, it's not a book. That's a keystone. A keystone is custom cut, wider on the top and narrows at the bottom. The center stone of a stone arch, its keystone, distributes the weight of the others equally for the dynamic strength and stability. Written on the keystone are Roman numerals, July 4th, 1776. The Declaration of Independence, the keystone of our democracy. But for women, for African Americans, we defaulted on the promise, democracy nothing but a dream deferred. That's why her right leg is behind her left. She's walking free of the chains of slavery at her feet. The hope was, once our nation ended slavery, would light the way for the world to follow. She wears sandals, subtle and radical. Scholars were wrong, but they firmly believed that under Greek or Roman law, only citizens could wear sandals, that only citizens could vote, and that only men could be citizens. Art critics assumed that the sculptor made an uneducated mistake. Rather, he was sending a message. Not only did U.S. women not have the right to vote when she was built, women were outright banned from the island's dedication. October 28, 1886. The sculptor defied authority, bringing his wife and daughter to the ceremony. Claimed he didn't get the memo. As you make a picture-perfect turn, on your left, enjoy a picture postcard view. The glorious Manhattan skyline has been altered, but it is still standing. Take your photo and send that around the world.
Take 40 pictures.
To your right, the Verrazano Bridge. Staten Island, right side of the bridge. Snug Harbor Cultural Center, historic Richmond town. National Lighthouse Museum, favorite park, Great World Trade Center Memorial up there. You should visit this weekend. Left side of the bridge, Brooklyn. You should visit. Brooklyn Museum, Grand Army Plaza, Brooklyn Botanic Gardens, Coney Island. So many things to do. If a separate city, Brooklyn would be the 5th largest in the U.S. Before the bridge connected them, more than 22 million future Americans sailed between them. The first fully electric lighthouse in the United States, the lady to your left, designed to light the way for us coming in. Single parents do it all. Sculptor Frederick Auguste Bartholdi's mother, the French widow, had 2 sons. Charles, violently mentally ill, tried to kill his mother and brother numerous times. She held the family together long enough till Frederick achieved success sculpting. They could afford for Charles to be cared for in an asylum for his and their protection. Did you know the face of the statue is that of Bartholdi's mother, Charlotte?
And the body's from his mistress.
Secret lies with Charlotte. She is a national treasure. Pedestal, neoclassical Egyptian combined with Aztec elements. Egypt's works inspired Bartholdi to sculpt. He commissioned architect Richard Morrison to do Egyptian. But the American Committee was out of funds to pay for the pedestal. To cut cost, Hunt incorporated Aztec elements. A nice try. She still sat in grace almost 2 years. Till we raised enough to build the pedestal. Liberty comes at great cost, part of what today is about. Sometimes that cost is the ultimate sacrifice. Star-shaped fort at the very bottom of the monument. Castle wood never fired a shot. Stone walls built solid with concrete to secure the base. Castlewood is named for Colonel Eleazar Daniel Wood, who gave his life for this country in the War of 1812. Do you remember to honor those who laid down their lives to secure your liberty? A gift from the people of France, to the people of the United States, never a government project undertaken. This group of French scholars responding to the assassination of President Lincoln after the American Civil War. They feared as Lincoln feared that democracy could perish from the face of the earth. The French scholars who started it knew really the United States and its government, for all its faults, offers the gift of the world. It's why people risk so much for a chance to live here, for a chance to have a government like ours. Work of art, symbol for a way to govern. Nobody born in the United States ever chose to be born here. Especially if you were born here, please remember, when you encounter someone coming from a different place, geographically, politically, religiously, racially, whatever the difference is, remember what you've got is a gift. Therefore, especially if you were born here, be more grateful for it and each other. And be more gracious with it and each other. All good gifts. It's praised to service. They did a big refit a few years ago, and I'm sure the intruder is more than equipped now to embrace that role if she ever has to. And much more modern. In October of 1944, she was in the fight of her life, hit by 3 kamikaze suicide planes, torpedoed twice between October the 25th and November the 25th, 1944. The captain gave the order to abandon ship. The crew never heard heard during the battle the PA system knocked down. So they stayed at their posts, named the ship, that's why she's here